Good morning, beautiful being. It is great to be here with you. It is just too windy and cold outside, mostly cold, and I don't feel like doing that, so we're in here today. And we have rocks. And this is a beautiful piece of rose quartz. And there's really nothing more to say about it except that the camera, to my eye, which I know is different to how your screen's rendering it, doesn't make it look pink enough. What I like about this is, of course, it's rose quartz and it's a bit translucent. And good morning, everybody who's jumping on. It's lovely to see you. It's Sang Marie and it's Sanchia. Lovely to see you, beautiful beings. And I like that the light comes through this and you can kind of see, the fissures in the stone and its fracture planes. And I like that. I like that about rose quartz. It is translucent. If you dip it in oil, it soaks the oil up. You have to leave it there, and then it becomes more transparent. But this is how the stone is. That's why if you wear rose quartz for a long time, it soaks up the oil from your skin, and it looks like something miraculous has happened, and it's got clearer, but that's how it happens. It soaks up the oil from your skin, and that's what makes it clearer. So, there you go. That's rose quartz, and about the sum total of what I know about it, except that this is quartz, right? And the thing that makes it pink is titanium. And this is actually titanium ore. And, the big pieces of rose quartz, hang on, that one there, and its little partner on the floor. Morning, Andrew. Morning, beautiful beings. Good morning, Lisa Louise. They all come from titanium mines. And some of it just gets, sent to crystal stores. But that's the deal. It's actually titanium ore. So there you go. Now, this is something that a friend of mine gave me a long time ago. I'm going to try and show you. Donald, great to see you, beautiful being. Yeah, it's interesting, eh? I haven't learned a great deal about rocks, really, but, that's what I know. So you think, what is this weird... Yeah, you can see it's black and brown, this strange tumble-polished rock. And you think, what is that? And you can't really tell until you hold it on its side, and you think, hang on a minute. Isn't that like tiger's eye? And it is. And I just can't remember what the deal is about what it is that takes quartz and turns it into tiger's eye. Or in this case, bull's eye is the red one, I think, and eagle's eye is the blue one, whatever. Good morning, Jen. But it's just interesting, to see it like that and think, right, so that's what it is. Yeah, I love the tiger's eye. So I just hope you can see the colours because it's a bit hard. This is the best side to show you. You can see the grain of it and the sort of shiny sparkliness of what you know is tiger's eye, but that's what it looks like, not on the grain. So there you go. And last but not least, this is orange quartz. It's my large Merkaba. Given to me by somebody that I did something for a while ago. I can't even remember what it was. But yeah, it's orangey, browny calcite. It's been carved, obviously, and I really like it. I like its imperfections, which are perfect. I like that it's kind of big enough to hold in your hand and play with. It's a bit heavy, to do this. It'll drill holes in your fingers. Actually, it's not that bad. But yeah, it starts to make an impression on my thumb, and I'm thinking, I don't want to do that for too long. But yeah, it's calcite, and I'm very fond of this. I'm pretty fond of most of my rocks. Lots of the rocks. I'm fond of the rocks that come to stay with me. Let's call it that way. I don't want to give the impression that I think I own them. I mean, everything has a consciousness, and rocks have a frequency, and frequency carries information, and, consciousness, awareness, information, it's all kind of connected. So, yeah, the whole thing of people who look up a crystal Bible and say, well, if you have this problem, you get that crystal to fix it with, is like, not for me. That's all I'm going to say about it. So, last week, which seems like a millennia ago because I've covered so much ground in that time, on Friday night I was thinking what about to talk about today, and I decided to go into this whole thing of being really comfortable being uncomfortable. Because we all know somebody who is really happy being miserable. the thought that you want to take them out to an event or something, and they either won't go because they're busy doing whatever they're doing, or they do go and you sort of regret that you took them, because it's just like this big downer on the whole thing, and they just think it's quite reasonable that they're like this all the time. They don't realise they have a choice in the matter, and if you offer them an opportunity to feel happier, they more or less actively resist it. And the people who complain, but when you offer them solutions, they just keep on affirming to you all the reasons why they should feel the way they do. And then you look at yourself, because it's easier to see it in others. And I look at myself and I think, well, who am I so accustomed to being that I don't really like being that way? But the idea of being somebody else is actually scary to me. And I've had plenty of opportunities to have this experience in the last week, because I've been going places in my own growth experience, and particularly in my meditations with Dr. Joe Dispenza, which I could never have imagined. And you might say, but you're in meditation, you're not doing it in real life, you're imagining it. Yeah, but I'm imagining it so real that it's like I'm there, and it's real enough that my body reacts like I'm there. And the fear comes up. Don't you do something different? Don't you go anywhere different? No, it's fearful. And yet these are better ways of being and better ways of living, much better, much freer, much more unlimited ways of being that I am mentally and emotionally and chemically and energetically and in every way rehearsing. And yet my body throws up all this resistance and says, no, do not go there. So I say that to illustrate the fact that we can really want to change, and we can really not want to change at the same time. Consciously, we want life to be different. Unconsciously, we sure as hell don't. Because remember, your body is your unconscious mind. And the body likes things to stay the same. Because the body knows that if it survived whatever it survived, as long as the same thing keeps on happening, it can survive it again. It's a known, it's familiar. It may be painful, but it's familiar, and the body says, I know what to do about that. But you come along and say, well, I want to have a different experience. And the body says, no. I don't know what to do with that. It doesn't matter that it might be nicer. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to react. I don't know how to respond. I'm not familiar with feeling different. The body craves routine. It does not like surprises. Some people are much more flexible and adaptable in general than others. And I'm actually fairly adaptable within a certain range. But the changes that I am contemplating, and beyond contemplating, I am executing in my 3D life, to me, are significant. And I would never have contemplated them. Well, I might have contemplated them, but I did. I dismissed them 2 weeks ago. I was just far too afraid. And that's what I mean. I've covered so much ground in the last 2 weeks, independent of the circumstances that have been going on in my life, which have been quite demanding and busy. I'm becoming a different person, and it's been at once difficult and at the same time really interesting observing my body throwing up all this resistance. So no, don't you go somewhere new. It's not safe. Because why is my body saying it's not safe? Because there are things I can't predict. Some of them in 3D, some of them in, I've never done it before. And so my body says, because I can't predict how it's going to work out, there could be lions and tigers lurking in those unknown and unpredictable places. And I'm better staying with what I know. Because, if the worst thing happens, I'm going to survive. But if you go somewhere different, the worst thing might happen and we might not survive. And the body likes what it knows, even if what it doesn't know can be much, much better, has much more opportunity to be expansive and unlimited and everything else. Our bodies like what they know. So that is really, without going into the thinking a thought and having a feeling and the body gets conditioned and all of that, without going into more of the detail about why this is so strong in us, that's why. Because you think about the caveman, or the indigenous from maybe 200 or 300 years ago, so practically all of us, who goes to the watering hole to get water, and you're in a place where there are alligators or dangerous creatures that come to the watering hole, or they live in the watering hole. And, up until now, the watering hole has been a place where you go to get water and nothing dramatic happens. And one day, you go there and some really scary creature attacks you and nearly kills you. Suddenly, what you thought you knew changes. Your brain takes a big snapshot of that and says, well, that was bloody scary. And then it starts to assess, well, this known danger now, I survived it. It starts to assess the risk of going back to that same place, understanding the risk and thinking, okay, well, I can look out for that now. I can go to a different part of the watering hole to see if that's safer. Or shall I risk going to a different place to get water and possibly I'll have to fight off somebody else who owns that place, or there might be different creatures there. Those are the kinds of choices. That is, when we're in survival, right? When we're in fear, when we're in sorrow and sadness and lack, or anything that doesn't feel good, is fundamentally a survival emotion. It's about fighting or fleeing or hiding. Those are the survival emotions, and all of the negative and nasty and unpleasant feelings we have are a subset of that. And when you are in that state of being, the part of your brain that is functioning is the instinctual part of the brain, which, and this includes a part of your brain that actually reacts to external stimuli before they even get processed by the front of the brain. Okay, it's prescient. It anticipates. And it's about survival. And that's the part of the brain that's operating when you are in those really low states, or even just moderately pissed off or frustrated. As soon as you're out of coherence, that's the part of the brain that's waking up and driving things. So, you're no longer a rational human who is thinking about taking care of people and taking care of yourself and doing the right thing. Carmelina, good morning. Instead, you are going to fight or flee or hide. Those are your choices, because the primitive part of your brain, and I'm pointing at the back of my brain because that is the part of the brain that's doing it, is only interested in survival. That's it. And when that part of the brain is busy and running the show, it's not interested in things it doesn't know. That is why it's so hard to go somewhere different. Because neurologically, the part of the brain that is creating new possibilities and open to learning and open to new experiences and open to creating and putting new things together is not even online. It's asleep. It's just got the hour, the little ring that goes round, or the hourglass is just going, nothing's happening here. There's no energy in that part of the brain to process new information and come up with new ideas and solutions. It's just fighting or fleeing or freezing. That's it. So that's why it's so challenging for us to go to a different place in ourselves or in real life. That's exactly what happens. So how do you get out of this bind? Well, for me, the first thing to do is to actually know who I want to be instead. And that can be a really difficult question to answer, because some of us, it's like, I don't know. I only know how it is now and that I really don't like it. But I simply cannot imagine myself any different. That's where some of us get stuck. And that was me. So if that's you, don't sweat. Realise that it's a starting point. You have to hold up a mirror and kind of flip it around and say, well, there must be something. I mean, if I'm feeling like this and I want something else, I must know that there's something else that I want. So what the hell is that? And, you gotta unwrap one corner of the chocolate bar and start nibbling it. Don't expect to get the whole thing at once if you're so shut down that you can't even perceive a different possibility because your brain's in survival. So how can you see a different possibility? And we get in a bind like this. But if you can calm yourself down enough to get a little bit out of survival and think, well, I just want to feel safe. God, that was such a big thing for me. And I haven't gone through a passel of trauma. But, God, I just want to feel safe in my body and the world. Bloody hell. And some of these things, or I just want to feel ease. That was all I could know for a long time. You got to start somewhere. You have to have some idea of who you want to be. And once you have some idea of who you want to be, you can start speculating, turning it over, thinking, imagining, creating inside yourself, and actually mentally rehearsing who that person could be. You can try it on, like going into a costume store and saying, do I want to be Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman or a mermaid or a crook or a thief? You can try on any alternate reality that you like inside your mind. And the more you explore it, the more you're going to say, well, I don't like that, but I kind of like a little bit of that. And you're going to put things together. Sandy, good morning, sweetie. You're going to put things together piece by piece. And the more you do that, you're going to get a little bit clearer and a little bit clearer and a little bit clearer. And the more you do it and the more clearer you get, eventually you're going to start to have some idea of how it might feel to be that person. You're going to imagine, oh yeah, well, I would do that, wouldn't I? And you're just daydreaming. You can't do this under pressure. Make up a new life. Hurry up, get on with it. No. You have to back off. And you have to get into a place that's relaxed enough for however long you can do it, that you can get out of survival, get out of stress, for long enough to relax and daydream a little bit. Well, how would it be? And you muse and you think. And, of course, I do this in meditation. Because that's the only way I get to shut my brain up sometimes. Because it's just too, But to begin to speculate and assemble ideas and, create a collage inside your mind and think, yeah, well, I watch that person and I see that expression on their face and I think, if I had that expression on my face, I would feel like this. And that might be nice. Can I imagine that? And the better you get at practicing and exploring and trying things on, the more you're going to have a little bit of an experience, and eventually, and it does take time and it does take effort and it does take application, but you're going to start to have a sense of who that person is. That really is the first step. And, once you start to reinvent yourself and you realize that thinking the thought really can become as real as having the experience in 3D. And there's been research done to show that that is literally true. Not only does the brain change the same way if you imagine it as you do it, but the body actually changes the same way when you imagine it as if you do it. I kid you not. The body gets the message. So never, ever, ever, ever again, like I used to think before I understood this, say, oh, you're just imagining it. No, you make it real, you change your brain, you change your body to look like it's already happened. And if you keep doing that, if you've changed your brain and your body to look like it's already happened, as my inspiration, Dr. Joe says, well, then it has happened. There's evidence here to show that. And if you keep doing that, you keep creating more evidence in your brain and your body, well, one day you might just look, act, feel, breathe, taste, live like that person that you've become. And when you do that, your life is going to catch up with you. And speaking as somebody who has been doing this for, all of 2 years now and a little bit more, And I'm mostly past looking at my life and saying, well, where is it? Because the more I don't do that anymore. Because I understand if I'm looking for it, I don't have it. And what I understand as I am more and more determining to be that person that I desire to be, everything that's not that is going to come up and kick me in the teeth so I can overcome it. And the things that I am recognizing and understanding and discovering about myself that have kept me in lack my entire life are just, I don't know, profound. I'll tell you about them one day. I'm too much in the middle of them now. No way. I'm not explaining them now when I'm in the middle of changing. It's just not appropriate. But these are profound things, and you only find out when you start being someone else which part of you is not going there. Good morning, Julian. Good morning, Lynn. I know you're both there. It's the only way to do it. Stop analysing all the reasons why it's not working and all the reasons why in your past that you are this way today. None of that is going to change your future. Start being your future. Start practicing your future. Understand your body's going to resist you because you're taking it somewhere it doesn't know. And you dance, this razor's edge between who you've been and who you want to be, and not forcing yourself here because that's more stress, and not just giving in to who you've been. It's this narrow line that we walk. I determine I'm just not going to be who I used to be anymore. And I push my own boundaries without forcing them. So, that's what I wanted to say. Very much love. Thank you for joining with me. Big love. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.